Hey, it's so good that you've taken the time to have this playlist of worship running, hopefully in the backdrop of your day, or maybe it's something that you're just sitting in your car in your living room, just soaking it in. But I'm reminded that during this time, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm gaining weight. You know what I'm saying? I call it the COVID-10, but I think it's kind of quickly approaching the COVID-15, like the extra 15 pounds that I'm gaining. I hope it doesn't get to the COVID-20 because that's really bad. But as I think about that, I think about feeding myself, and I'm just so grateful that you've taken the time to feed on the Word of God, to feed on worship, to shut everything else off and to listen to worship music, because worship or music is powerful. And there were a series of psalms that the children of Israel would sing when they would leave their homes and travel up to Jerusalem 3 times a year for the festivals that would be held. And they were called songs of ascent, or psalms of ascent, or no, songs of ascent. I'll get that. And they're about from Psalms 120 to 134. And it was songs that they would sing. Of course, there's songs of ascent. So as they would find themselves going up to Jerusalem was always on a hill. So a lot of it, especially as they approached Jerusalem, would be uphill traveling. They would sing these songs. And I want to read you one as you're listening and taking in worship. I want to give you the word. Psalms 121 says this: I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? It's really important that back then, having the high ground was always felt like a place of safety. It was the place where you felt protected, and that you definitely had an advantage if you were under attack. And so as they would travel to Jerusalem, they would go through mountain passes, and they would be concerned because that's where robbers and thieves would get an upper hand on them. And so as they're traveling, they would say, I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? It says, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Just think about it as they're traveling through mountains on each side, concerned about their families because they would be with their children, concerned about attacks as it grew dark or dusk. And so they're saying, He will not let your foot slip. He watches over you. He who watches over you will not slumber or will not sleep. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. He goes on to say, the Lord will keep you from all harm. Think about that. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forevermore. Friends, this is such a powerful psalm for us today because it gives us the truth and reality of who God is in our lives. And especially as you're listening to worship and these songs that have been written for everyday life, especially in times of vulnerability, if you will, I just want you to take a moment to not only read this psalm, but it's so much more powerful when you actually memorize a portion. And as you're listening to music, as you're worshiping, as maybe you're going for a walk, to be able to pull up from your heart a portion of, or maybe you might want to memorize all 8 verses and begin to declare it. And the strength that it gave these people as they were on their way is the same strength that it can give you and I today. God bless you. Continue to enjoy the worship today, and just see what God's going to do as you commit some of this to memory.